So let's set the stage. You're waiting for, let's say, a date, and you had reservations for 7 p.m. to a really nice restaurant, and you've arrived early, and the person you hope to meet is late. It's now 7:20. The restaurant staff is starting to give you looks, and it's starting to get uncomfortable. Tell me, imagine for a minute you're in this situation. How do you feel? This is GH Glade, and we're going to talk about lateness because oftentimes it's a problem for people. And there are some very practical reasons for not being late. The short version is that people who are habitually late, or sometimes even late once, but when it really counts, they project incompetence and self-centeredness and even a lack of integrity. I have seen in friends of mine and actually coworkers actually lose their job because they were chronically late. They did a good job when they were there. And, I worked in a context where we did shift work. And believe me, after 12 hours, the last thing you wanted to do was be there longer because someone was late and didn't get there on time to get the needed handoff. First of all, it's really important to see being on time as part of your whole attitude toward time. This may require an attitude adjustment. You're never going to be on time every time, whether it's appointments or big meetings or deadlines, or even to catch a date at a restaurant. But if you haven't put into practice a set of good time management techniques, it's going to happen. It's going to happen a lot. Let's talk about KO's law. KO's law is really simple. The meeting will always start on time if you're going to be late. And there's a lot of truth to that expression that if you're on time, you're 15 minutes late. Let's take a look at what happens in a business contact. How much informal conversation that's important goes on before the meeting? A lot. And trust me, this is stuff that you don't want to miss. So if you can relate to all of this, I want you to stay tuned and pause the video so you can take notes. Most of all, share this with other people who you might know that are chronically late. Doesn't matter if they're ADD. People with ADD don't have a corner on this market, but they do have a bad sense of time. So let's get started. That bad sense of time really comes into play when it comes to lateness. And there are a lot of reasons why people are chronically late, which we aren't going to go into in this particular video, perhaps another video in the future. It has to do with that really bad sense of the passage of time, but sometimes you can set yourself up to fail. Don't do things like checking your email before you leave for an appointment. It will suck you down in a vortex, taking more time than you think. It's always the last task that gets to you. If I'm working on something, I set 2 alarms. The first alarm is one that tells me to wrap it up. The second alarm says, it's time to drop everything and just get the heck out the door and leave now. I really like my visual timer. And this provides you essentially kind of a countdown timer. It tells me that time is running out and I need to get going. One of the coaching tips I give families, because morning time is a stress point, is have your kids lay out everything the night before. Well, the same is true for adults. Prepare the night before so you can get up, do your morning routine, grab and go. This is lunch if you take it. This is what you need in terms of supplies. It's having a notion of even what you're going to wear the next day. It's important to be able to have that level of preparedness so you reduce both the need to make decisions, because we get decision fatigue, and having to make them under pressure. I'm a believer in planning for the unexpected. Taking from Star Wars, this is often called the Scotty effect. I tend to do things like fill up my gas tank when it's a quarter full. I don't want to get stuck in traffic and be there where I don't want to get off a crowded freeway and run out of gas. I leave extra time margins because I know I'm terrible at estimating time. When it comes to doing tasks, if I'm building something, I use a multiplier factor of 3. But inherent for that is getting a better estimation of how long things really do take you. I'm a believer in people reviewing what they have on their dock for the day at the beginning of the day. But often within that, it's a matter of setting reminders. And we're lucky that we have all sorts of electronic devices to be able to do that. A particular one I like is a little round disc with a female name beginning with A. And I won't say that name because I have one of those sitting right beside me, and she wakes up really easily. But you can set verbal alarms to tell you to do something on these simple AI devices. I like people getting in the habit of just checking their schedule at fixed intervals. This is the last one, and it seems so obvious. Leave extra time. Leave extra time to get there. And implied in this is preparing to wait, because you may wind up waiting a little bit. There are a variety of ways to use small amounts of time. And part of it may be to gamify the whole notion of estimating how long it really does take you to get to a place and rewarding yourself in a gamification kind of fashion. But again, have reading material with you, have, your cell phone. That wait time is a really good time to check social media. Social media is rarely life-changing. In fact, it may never be life-changing, but that's a perfect filler for waiting time. So this has been G.H. Glade. And if you've enjoyed this and benefited from this, please give me a thumbs up. That really helps give this platform exposure. The other thing that really helps give it exposure is sharing this. Give it to other people who have the same issues. You're not alone in this. You're human. Other people have this issue too. And until next week, when I do this again, take care, and we'll see you then.